Hello witches, welcome back to the channel once again. This is Hectarios. So someone asked me to do an update on Goddess Hecate's return. So that's what this video will be covering. I do not know if y'all just heard my wall pop, but now my door just popped. So that's what I'll be talking about here in this video. And someone also asked, you know, what are Hecate's messages, what work needs to be done, etc. And another person asked how Hekate might be contacting you. So that's sort of the topic for this video. So first of all, to answer the first question, sort of a little update on Hecate's return to the physical realm. So there's not really much to share right now in that regard, other than what I've already said in previous videos on the subject. You know, she just barely returned fully in July at the blood moon eclipse, and what she had already said was that, you know, the first and foremost, the thing that she's going to be doing when she returns is pretty much be focused and fixating on banishing and punishing and getting in check, getting back in control of these lesser dark spirits that have been running amok while she was away. Also, you know, undoing the harm that they've done, or in some way making reparations of it. A lot of reconnaissance work, basically. Sort of evaluating, restoring, you know, she's getting her kingdom back. So, you know, just imagine, because that's what really has happened. For the last 3 years, she has been gone, and things have just gone haywire. So, you know, the first things that she's doing now that she's back is focusing on, you know, getting shit back in order, basically. So, you know, there's not really much more to share other than that. That's what she's doing right now. That's the update on her. She's still doing that. I'm not sure how long it's going to take, but, you know, she's dealing with 3 years of this mess. So it's a lot to do. So that's what she's doing right now. So even though she's returned back to the physical realm, you still may not feel her presence that strongly right now, or you may not be getting as many personal messages from her right now because, you know, she's busy. She's doing a lot of work right now. And I'm sure whenever she's done with that, you know, we will all start to experience her, you know, more often, once again, in our personal day-to-day lives. So that's sort of the update. Oh, so sorry, y'all. I have, like, allergies to something. I think I'm allergic to, like, when there's mold spores in the air. Whew. Anyway, what does she need from us? Well, let's see. I would say, first of all, she needs your support. She needs your understanding, probably more than anything else. You know, if you're praying to a deity and they don't answer you right away, or, you know, come riding in like a knight in shining armor for you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're ignoring you, or that they don't care about you, or, you know, because a lot of people have asked me that, like, they pray to Hekate and she doesn't respond to them. So, you know, what does that mean? Is there something wrong? Is she mad at them? And stuff like that. And I'm like, no, you know, she's just busy. She's a goddess, okay? She's a queen at that, and a goddess. So she is always, you know, she's responsible for a lot of things. She has a lot of devotees to work with. She has a lot of other spirits to govern. And she has other affairs in the spiritual world and in the physical world to, you know, keep tabs on. So she's a busy woman, okay? You have to understand that. So she's not the type that, you know, when she's your matron goddess, she's not the type that will, like, constantly be by your side, holding your hand all day, every day. That's just not how she functions. She is very distant. I talked about this in my Q&A, sort of. One of the meanings of her, one of the interpretations of her name is she who works her will from afar. And that's very true. She is distant. She's a distant goddess. For the most part, she does come present into your life at certain times and at certain points. But for the most part, she's distant, and she will send emissaries to you. Now, this is getting more into the question how Hekate might be contacting you. Well, more than likely, it's going to be by one of these ways that I'm about to mention. She will send an emissary. Excuse me. She will send an emissary to you, or a messenger. These can be, you know, she might just send a message to you, once again, long distance. So I'm kind of going to go through some different things, like not in any kind of order or anything like that. But before I do recommend you go back and watch my previous Q&A. Not the one most recent past, but like look back on my channel. For my other Q&A, the subtitle of the Q&A will say like the language of the gods, or something like that. Go watch that video, because that will tell you a lot about how these spirits communicate, including Hekate. But I'm going to briefly go over it here too as well, since I got asked again. So with Hekate in particular, more than likely she's going to send a message to you, rather than just like appear in your room or appear to you in a vision or something like that in person. More than likely she'll be sending messages to you, and this will come in the form of it could be dreams of certain animals, like a wolf or a dog or a snake, or an owl. You might actually see those animals in your waking life as well, or alternatively at a crucial moment, okay? Not just, you know, randomly seeing the same dog that you pass on the street every single day, okay? It will be like at a crucial time, or it'll be right when you're thinking about Hekate, or right when you're having deep thoughts about something that's important to you. And then synchronistically, a meaningful coincidence, which is what synchronicity means, you know, there's a consciousness behind that synchronicity, okay? Or that coincidence. you have to analyze it from that level. You know, what were you thinking about? What were you thinking about recently? What has been on your mind a lot recently? And does the encounter seem with an animal or something, or some other sign that you're seeing, does that seem to be an answer in some way, symbolically? Symbolism is the language of the gods. Just once again to summarize, but I do recommend you go back and watch my other Q&A on that topic, because I broke it down way more in depth. But the language of the gods is symbolism, okay? So most often, that's how they communicate with you. That's how Hekate will be communicating with you. I mean, unless you have, you know, clairaudient ability or mental mediumship abilities or telepathic abilities where you can just communicate, you know, in a conversation, you know, in that way directly with her, no matter how far away she is, which is how I communicate with her. But, you know, more than likely, if you don't have that type of ability, then she'll be communicating with you through symbolism, through these different omens and signs that will be very meaningful and pronounced. So, you know, it'll be obvious to you that it is a communication coming. And these are the type of things that are like, if you don't notice it the first time it happens, it will happen again. And if you just dismiss it and just say, oh, it's just a coincidence, and you just dismiss it, it will happen again. Like, it will be in your face that this is a message, to the point to where, you know, sometimes, like my own self, I'm guilty of doing this too. I think we all do it as, you know, humans. We're skeptical, especially of communicating with the deities and stuff like that. At least at first, until you really get, like, normalized to it. But, you know, sometimes Hekate will give me a sign over and over again until it's almost to the point to where it's like, you know, she almost needs to slap you in the face to get you to, like, acknowledge that that is a communication. Okay, so the whole point I'm saying that is, you know, if you are being contacted by Hekate or by any deity, they will get their message across. It doesn't matter, once again, if you dismiss the sign several times, they will keep at it until you do get the fucking message, okay? So, the best thing that you can do is try to be open and try to be extra sensitive and extra aware to what is going on around you, because once again, if you do get a communication through the form of symbolism or signs, you don't want to just overlook it or dismiss it. You know, and that might be hard for beginners because of the skeptical mindset. I understand completely, because I used to be the same way. So, I mean, if that happens, then that happens. But once again, you know, the message will continue to come in to you until you do acknowledge it, okay? So, some other things that it could be, I said animals. I said it could be animals appearing in dreams. You could just have dreams in general of, you know, different events happening, and those will be communications to you. That then later manifests in reality or something similar. You know, those are communications, or that's one way that she communicates with me. More so, those are like warnings. Like, I will have a nightmare that someone comes to my house that I've had lots of problems with in the past. And then immediately, like the next day, that happens. But it's not the same scenario. It's just that that person does show up. And things like that. So usually I get those type of warning dreams like the night before it happens. But this will largely be, you know, personalized to you. It depends on your abilities. It depends on, you know, what capacity you are able to communicate with Hekate. She will meet you at your level. So if you're able to, you know, psychically communicate with, you know, mental mediumship and telepathic communication and stuff like that, then that's what she will communicate with you, most likely. And you won't see as many physical signs because she'll just be communicating with you in your mind. If you're highly, you know, intuitive and empathic and sense energies, she may communicate with you in that way. Like she will just give you energetic impressions that you can then interpret with that ability. But if you don't really have any type of developed psychic ability like that, then more than likely she will be trying to contact you through outer signs. So you can look up the different animals that are associated with her, but she can communicate with you through any type of animal. So what I like to do when I have a peculiar encounter with an animal, you know, in nature, and remember the keyword being here, peculiar, like it will happen when I'm trying to communicate with Hekate, or when I'm right after I've done a ritual or prayed to her, or something like that. And then, you know, I have some kind of animal encounter in nature. Or I end up dreaming that night about an animal. You know, what I like to do is look up that animal totem, basically. Just Google in whatever animal totem, and then, you know, go to the different links that pop up and look deep into the symbolism of that animal and see if, you know, what it symbolizes seems to be an answer to something that you've been asking or something that you've been seeking, okay? Or praying for. And more than likely it will be, because it always is whenever that happens to me. So I know that that's a strong way that she communicates for me. But once again, this will be, you know, personalized to you. So you just have to kind of put your feelers out and know, like, these different ways, but then see, you know, which ones happen for you, okay? And then stick to the ones that work and that you get, that you're able to, you know, verify by doing things, like I said, by looking up the symbolism of it or whatever, what have you. Or if you are getting psychic communications from her, what you can do is write it down and then, you know, later on go back and Google search that information and see if that is valid information that, you know, you did not have any conscious awareness of before, but that is documented valid information, though, because that is another way that I have experienced it, and another thing that I do all the time. When I do my communications with her, I write it all down and stuff, and then later on I go and search to verify that information, and pretty much 99% of the time there is things posted online, you know, basically exactly saying the same thing in more words or less. So it's just a method you can use to verify what communication aspects you are really getting from her, and you know, which ones are valid and which ones work for you the best and that type of thing. So another way that she may communicate with you is through repeating numbers. So that's another one. Like I will see 333, 222, 444, 555, a lot. And also like 123, 1234, things like that. Mostly it's triple digit numbers, all the same number. That's the one that I get mostly. Different numbers, 333, 33, 3, and 13. Those are the numbers that I get the most often. That I know that when I see those numbers, you know, whatever thoughts were in my mind or whatever, you know, whatever it's associated with in some kind of a way is either verification to me or it is further guidance in that way. So that could be another way that she's communicating with you, and it could be different numbers for you. But one thing that I recommend is that you would look up as well on Google Angel Numbers by Joanne. And I don't remember her website's name exactly, but it's something like Sacred Scribe Blogspot or something like that. And it is Angel Numbers by Joanne. And she has all of the numbers and their divine communication meaning and symbolism, definitions, and like what it means when you see it. So that's what I use because it's what I found to be the most accurate when it comes to that. So I do recommend that if you're seeing a bunch of numbers and repeating numbers, and you're associating that with Hekate for whatever reasons, then I do recommend that you look into that, angel numbers, and see if that seems to be, you know, a good explanation or, you know, if it just seems to be accurate to you or not. I find that it's very accurate. So, you know, those are pretty much the most main ways that I communicate with Hekate in the physical outer world, because predominantly my communication with her is psychic, telepathic. So that's our predominant line of communication. But she does also still send me physical signs and symbolism and omens and stuff at different times as well. So that's like a secondary form of communication for us. So I hope that answers your question a little bit. But once again, like I said, go back and watch my other Q&A with the subtitle, The Language of the Gods, because I went way more in depth on it in that video. So another aspect of this previous question was, how long will Hekate be staying in the physical realm? Once again, I don't know. You know, I don't even think that she knows, because she's not a robot. She, you know, she has a free will. She has her own personality and consciousness. So, you know, that's not a question that I don't think anyone can answer besides her, if and when she decides to leave again. You know, that's her choice. So, you know, no one can answer that. You know, as far as going to the underworld, the whole reason she went there, I'm not going to get into that into this video again, because this video will turn out to be really fucking long. But you can look at my past videos of the reason why she went to the underworld, what she was doing there, etc. Look at my past videos for all that, because it's all there. But more or less, she does the underworld journey for that particular purpose every 2,500 years or so. Okay. But I'm sure she goes to the underworld at other times. I think that, you know, when it comes to that one particular purpose, she goes there 2,500 years apart, because she kind of has to. But I think that she goes to the other realms just whenever she wants to go to them, because, you know, she has influence and dominance in all of the realms. So I'm sure if and when she chooses, if and when the need arises, you know, she can travel between the realms, you know. So there's not really an answer to that question of how long will she stay. It just depends on her. And then to circle back to when you asked, what does she need from us? You know, just what I do, I just give her daily offerings. I give her daily offerings of food and drink, and I give her daily offerings of my, you know, attention, my love, my devotion. Okay, at that energetic level. That's an offering to a deity too. When you give your attention to the deity, that's an offering to them, because, you know, they need us as well. Okay? To an extent. I'll say it like that. So when you're giving your attention to a deity, when you're really listening to them, when you're really taking their advice and their guidance, you know, that is also an offering to the deity. And that's important to do. If you're going to be considered a devotee to a deity or something, then, you know, part of that is giving to them as well in that way. Okay? You know, it's not all take with being a devotee to a deity. You also have to give back. And it's not just offerings that you give back. You have to give back, you know, your loyalty. Okay? If and when it's requested of you. So, I hope that answers the question. And that's really all I have to share on that aspect right now. But, of course, you know, when Hekate gives me more information, when she gives me more oracles and things to share, of course, I'll be doing more videos on that. It's just that right now she's like super busy, preoccupied with other things. So, it is what it is. Someone messaged me. Let me throw their chat head away. Okay. So, that's basically it for this video. And for answering these questions. So, there you have it. Thank you for watching. And hail to the witches and hail Hekate. Blessed be.